affair ran into my husband and greeted him because I told him that's my brother. I'm screwed. Help me. I really need advice, please. Hi, Redditors. I'm Greta, and I am in big trouble right now. This is going to take a while, so please just read till the end. I am 25 years old, living fine and happily married. Well, it was supposed to be that way, not until I screwed up. And hopefully this does not lead to my divorce and the end of my marriage life. My life has not always been so jolly or smooth. In fact, it was very much like I suffered growing up. Initially, though, I had the life any kid would dream of. A loving and caring parent, nice friends around, and getting everything that I wished for. My dad worked as a pilot, and he was always traveling around the world, while my mom was a model. They both didn't usually have the time to take care of me, and they left me with the maids. But they made up for it by taking a week off every month from their respective jobs, and that became a routine, until something tragic happened. On this particular day, I had given my dad a handmade bracelet as a lucky charm before he left for work, and kissed him goodbye on his cheek. Little did I know that it was the last time I would be seeing him that day. The plane he was piloting was reportedly faulty, and he was not informed beforehand. My dad and about 28 other people ended up dying while several people got injured. My mom and I were both devastated by the news, and my mom fainted out of shock. Later, we found out she was pregnant. Months passed, and we were still mourning his death. Eventually, we tried to move on. Due to her pregnancy, my mom could not model anymore as they rejected her because she added a few pounds. We could only stay at home without working. My mom gave birth to my junior brother, who's 15 years old now. Joy filled the air, and she cried tears of joy missing my father. So she named him Eric Jr. after my dad. After giving birth, my mom tried going back to her modeling career again, but they didn't take her back because they said she had added weight and she was not looking pretty any longer after Eric's birth. Mom felt defeated, but she pulled herself together and decided to focus on looking after my brother and I. We grew up quite quickly, going to school and living our life. Soon it was our birthday. Our birthday coincidentally fell on the same day. Eric and I had the best birthday of our life, my 18th and his 8th birthday then. But we didn't know that would be the last good birthday we would be having, because my mom broke the news that we were bankrupt and we would move away from that house to a much smaller one. We were both dumbfounded, but we had no choice than to do that. My mom had to work 2 jobs, as a cleaning lady and a waitress, just to afford sending me to college and my younger brother to a new school. I started college quite far away from home on scholarship studying cosmetology so that I can be a makeup artist. I also took up a part-time sales attendant job at a grocery shop, and that is where I met him, my present husband, Noah, looking all handsome and nice. He was a regular customer at the grocery shop, and finally, we started talking. I was reluctant at first, but I finally decided to share my personal information with him, including my phone number. It turned out that Noah was also in my college, but a year ahead of me and was majoring in architecture. He was kind, caring, understanding, smart, and also very handsome. I actually fell for him at first sight, but obviously I could not say anything to him because I was a coward. We started talking, and I don't know how much time had passed, but we began hanging out. He would always come to the store and wait until my shift ended just to hang out with me. We both enjoyed each other's company, and he was fun to be with. Honestly, I was always eager to finish my shift and go to him not only to hear his jokes, but to see his handsome face too. I was just so in love. I was falling behind with my rent and decided to take a midnight job at the bar as a stripper. Yes, I know it is a wrong thing to do, but the salary from my first job was not sufficient, so I had to work another job. I hid this fact from Noah as I was scared that he would judge me, and we just continued our friendship until my 20th birthday, where he gifted me a shiny silver necklace and asked me to be his girlfriend. He told me that he had always loved me from the very first time he saw me at the store, and he only came to buy things every day just so he could see me, even though some of what he bought was not needed, and he gave them out sometimes. I reluctantly accepted because of the work I was doing and the fact that I didn't want him to find out. By the way, Noah was from a very wealthy family. His father owns a shipping company, while his mother died immediately after he was born. We started dating, and I told him my life history, excluding the part where I worked as a stripper, and he also told me his. Things were going on fine, and we loved each other so much. He bought a lot of gifts for me and showered me with love, although it was exhausting trying to hang out with Noah and working as a stripper. but I still managed to hide that fact from him. Noah was always so serious about his studies and always put his best in it, and I also loved him for that. He had always told me that he wanted to do something else different from what his father was doing, and was determined to show his father that he could be successful without doing the passed-down family business. To be honest, his over-seriousness actually gave me the time to focus on my gig at the club. Soon, I was almost done with college, and I also planned on leaving behind my stripper job. Happy that all this while, Noah never suspected anything, which was good for me. I was able to take care of Mom and my younger brother now since I had Noah. I left the job behind and decided to focus on the future. I had already had quite enough for myself anyways. I took Noah to finally meet my mom and Eric, and he bonded quickly with them. I was at peace of mind that we would end up together forever as we had promised each other. He also took me to meet his dad, but his dad didn't like me. I had no idea why. One day, Noah proposed to me and I accepted without thinking twice, and we started the marriage preparations quickly. I chose my wedding dress and I decided to go for silver, unlike the usual white, and finalized the wedding date with our pastor. We chose a great location for our reception, and we also planned our honeymoon journey. I wanted us to travel around the world, but we agreed on going to Miami to spend it there. It was the day of our wedding, 6 months after his proposal. I woke up and danced happily as I took my bath, wore my beautiful silver wedding gown, and I adorned myself with the same silver necklace he had gifted me before. I also got my makeup done and went to meet my beloved at the altar. Noah was already waiting for me patiently, as he looked radiant in his silver suit with black taping around the neck. We proceeded with the wedding ceremony, said our I-do's, went to the reception for some dancing and fun games, and when we finished, we went to our new home, which was designed by Noah himself. Days later, we went for our honeymoon, and it was one of the best times of my life, just like my wedding. My husband literally did not even let me out of his sight for a second. We played around all day and slept with each other all night. I felt loved because our honeymoon lasted for a month and we were back home later. Our marriage was going smoothly. Noah started his own architectural business, and I settled on doing makeup for actresses and models, so my job was not too strenuous compared to Noah's. I only get to go for makeup like 3 times a week, and I come back early after work, so I am mostly at home, and naturally I yearn for a tender touch from my husband. He was always there for me, and he always played with me, cared for me, gave me kisses, but suddenly, we grew kind of distant, and he became so busy that he rarely pays any attention to me. I felt like a piece of furniture just laying around the house. He always prioritized his work over me, and he came home late. At first, I thought I did something wrong, but as it turned out, I did not, and his excuse was that he needed to build his career to the top, so he has to let go of any distraction for now, and when he makes it big, then he can have time for me, and we can even make babies. He told me that he was too busy to give me what I wanted, and when I complained, he said that I was acting like a baby. He didn't even sleep with me again like before. I was so angry, so I decided to go to my mom's place to unwind, and I told her everything that was happening between me and Noah. I cried as I narrated everything to her, and she told me that sometimes it was normal for things like this to happen in a marriage, and I am lucky that he still thought about me even though he does not have my time. She also told me that it was just a phase, it would pass soon. She calmed me down and said I should be patient with him, and he would come around soon. As time passed, I was so pissed that I also decided to spend a little bit more time at our studio, even if there was no work, and I also began to come late and give the same excuse as he did. Surprisingly, he did not protest and even encouraged me to continue like that. That was when I started having an affair with someone I met out of frustration. My husband decided that he would be spending the night at his office sometimes. He even forgot our anniversary, and when I eventually reminded him, he told me that he was sorry that he was so busy and he would make it up to me. Guess how he did that? He asked his assistant, Miles, to bring me some gifts and take me shopping the next day. When he came back home, he did not even say anything about that and went to bed immediately. I went to my mother the next day because I was so angry at this point, and I ended up transferring my aggression to my poor little brother, but I consoled him with the gifts I bought for him. I explained everything to my mother, who still gave me her usual lecture about patience and perseverance. I left her place later thinking about her words, but the feeling of abandonment in me overpowered the lectures I received from my mother earlier. Noah, too, was not helping the situation, and I began to feel even more lonely. So I just decided to start going to the bar to unwind and get over my feelings. The person I was referring to was Jack. I met Jack while I was drowning myself with alcohol one day at a bar. Noah had called me that day and told me that he would be spending the night at his office as he wanted to finish a design that he was working on. I went to a bar out of frustration and started drinking when Jack came to the counter and sat beside me, lecturing me on not taking too much alcohol and the effect it had on my body. He said it in such a funny way that I could not help but laugh. We started talking, and for a moment, I forgot all about my frustration and sadness. He asked for my number before he hastily left, and I gave him without having a second thought. With the excuse of working late hours, I started meeting Jack at night, and when he asked about my personal life, I told him that I was single and he was elated, and he looked like a happy child with a lollipop. I know I shouldn't have said that, and that was the first mistake I made. I saw that day as a chance because that morning I had taken off my ring due to the fact that I just didn't want to wear it anymore. It wasn't like Noah had time for me to even notice I didn't wear a ring. Anyways, Jack then told me that he was single too and that he was a doctor. His parents died as a kid, so he had to live with his uncle. And one of the reasons he actually became a doctor was to care for his ailing uncle who succumbed to his illness recently. Honestly, I was having the best moments of my life. Jack was fun to be with, and at first I thought because he was a doctor. I felt it was going to be harder to talk to him, but now I know that not all doctors are boring. He was a sweet and romantic person too. Anyways, I loved his personality, and I fell in love with him without realizing. The void Noah left in me by not fulfilling was filled by Jack. We started hanging out a lot of times, and before I knew it, I slept with him one day when I went to his place. He saw nothing wrong because I told him I was single, but I shouldn't have done that because I knew it was wrong. Eventually, we slept together any chance we got, and I began to drift away slowly from Noah. Although I had to pretend in the presence of both men, I was able to do just fine and enjoyed my life. My mom began to notice a change in my behavior, and I think she began to suspect me. She sat me down and asked if I was doing something wrong. I eventually told her what happened, and she was so disappointed at me for stooping so low in my actions and having an affair with another guy. She said that not only am I lying to both guys, but I am also harming myself in the process. She also told me that the aftermath was going to be extremely fatal. I smiled and told her that I would take care of everything myself, so I didn't listen to her and continued my affair with Jack. One day, my secret was almost exposed, but I was able to cover it. I was at Jack's place, and he took some pictures of us with my phone. While he was checking it, he asked if he could check my other pictures, and I gave him the permission to. He then stumbled upon pictures of me and Noah. Luckily, it was not our wedding picture, but there were so many pictures of me and Noah together on my phone. I lied, saying that Noah was my brother, and took away the phone from him. He bought the lie, and I was saved, and our affair continued. And deep down in my mind, I was worried about how I would react if Jack decided to propose to me. I always thought about this while I continued with my double life as a wife and as a girlfriend. Meanwhile, Noah began to succeed and his career was blooming. He had quite a number of investors now, and he started to get better at home. He kisses me goodbye now before going to work. He bought me lots of gifts and started nurturing me, but all these did not stop me from meeting Jack though, because I wanted more than that. I continued to meet up with him, and my mom was so pissed off that for the first time she shouted at me and hit me, and even forbade me from meeting with Jack again. She also threatened to tell Noah about my illicit affairs. I reluctantly accepted after she said that, being the stubborn person that I am. I called Jack to meet with him immediately after my mom left. Now the real tragedy arrived. Noah came back home all moody, sad, and angry. In our years together, I have never seen him this angry. I asked what was wrong, but he did not give me any response and stormed off to the room. I tried seducing him at night while we were sleeping as I was in the mood to make love, but he turned me down. I didn't mind and only thought that he had started with his attitude of not caring. So I brushed it off and just went to sleep, but he displayed the same behavior when he woke up. And at this point, I started feeling weird. I could not meet with Jack as I was not feeling so well, so I decided to stay at home and rest. This continued for a while, and one day I snapped at him and asked why he had been treating me like an object. But he retorted back saying that I was a monster, and deep down, I knew what I had done. I felt uneasy, but I regained my composure and pretended like I knew nothing. This only pissed Noah up, and he only screamed out of frustration and left angrily. At this point, I was scared, so I decided to go to Jack and probably end things with him. But he was not in his home. Neither was he at the hospital either. I called him, but he did not pick up, and he also did not reply to all the messages I sent to him. Now, I was legit feeling so scared. I managed to stand firm until my husband came back from work and tried seducing him and sweet-talking him. But none of this worked. He rejected me, and finally he snapped and called me all sorts of names. He was so angry, and the first question he asked was if I knew who Dr. Jack was. I was so dumbfounded, but I pretended like I did not know who that was. He repeated the question again, and when I replied negatively, he lost it and pressured me into telling him the truth. When I resisted, he revealed something shocking. Apparently, they did some health checkup at work, so they were all supposed to go to the hospital. And on that very day, he was to meet with a new doctor, and that is where he met Jack. He said that after the checkup, Jack had addressed him as my own brother, telling him about how much he loved me, wanted to marry me, and even went as far as saying that Noah should talk to me on his behalf. I was puzzled at this revelation, and at this time my mom's words came rushing through my brain, and I realized that I was wrong, and my mom was right, but it was too late. Noah told me that he did not react at first, but when Jack said that they had been dating for almost 3 months and mentioned how they met at a bar, and I told him that I was single, he was so livid and showed him our wedding pictures, which shattered Jack. He said Jack apologized to him and told him he didn't know. I didn't know what to say. Noah left the house after telling me this, and I have not been able to contact him ever since. I tried calling and texting, but to no avail, and I was back to being lonely. Now, I understand my mother's words, but it is too late. If only I could turn back the hands of time, then I would have been patient and waited for him to come around like my mother said. Please, I need advice because I don't know what to do. Asterisk comments asterisk, asterisk Reddit user. 1 asterisk. Greta, just talk to him and fix what is broken. You should have done that initially, but now that things have gotten to this point, you just have to be apologetic and talk to him sincerely. Asterisk Reddit user. 2 asterisk. You just spoiled your marriage, silly woman. You had it coming though. You should have just been patient. Now, see what you have caused. Deal with it yourself. Asterisk Reddit user 3. Asterisk. You should have listened to your mother when she was advising you. It is your life, so get hold of it. Asterisk Reddit user 4. Asterisk. Honestly speaking, you do not deserve to stay in his house any longer. First you cheated, then you lied, and you didn't even listen to your mother when she advised you. If I was Noah, I would divorce you without giving it a second thought. Update. Since my husband left the house without saying anything, I tried reaching him, but it was to no avail. I went to his office, but I met Miles instead, and he told me Noah was not around, even though his car was parked outside and I could clearly hear his voice. I left there feeling dejected and went to his father's house thinking that I could maybe get his father to talk to him. But since his father hated me from the beginning, I was not even given the chance to say a word. His dad lashed out at me and asked that I leave his house before he had me arrested. I left there reluctantly for my mother's house, where I received the harshest words one could ever say to a person. She said that now I understood her words, and now I can see the consequences of my actions. She also told me that I am to take responsibility for my actions and not to meet with her until I fix what I had broken. I went back home and cried myself to sleep, regretting the decisions I made. I deleted Jack's number and everything that reminded me of him. When I wanted to block him from Instagram, I saw that he had moved in with his female best friend and is getting married soon. This revelation even made me even more hurt. I also received a call from my workplace that I was fired because they heard about what happened between me and my husband, and it was going to tarnish the image of their company. I felt so hurt and devastated even more. I thought it wouldn't get any worse until Noah came in with his friend, who was also his lawyer, and told me he was going to divorce me. He said he had signed the divorce papers and it was my turn. I didn't answer and I screamed at me because it was his fault for abandoning me and not paying any attention to me. He prioritized his work over me, and that was what made me cheat. He ignored everything I said, but he said that I had to sign the divorce papers, and I was not getting any penny from him because I cheated, and there was evidence that he would submit to the court during our trial. He left the divorce paper and left me there crying, while he stormed out with his friend, and I was screaming for him to come back, and it was his fault. Now, I am divorced, pregnant with Jack's child, and unemployed. living alone with my mom and brother, who welcomed me even with my mistakes. I tried to reach out to Jack about his baby, but he never replied. I don't know what the future holds for me, but as of now I am suffering, and I would not recommend that anyone make the same mistakes that I make, no matter what. You have to be patient and find a way to communicate with your partner, because communication is key. I learned this the hard way.